Hello everybody, welcome back to another quick look at a game I'm into. So I apologize for the lack of content on the site recently. I put some files up for Bloodborne. I was playing that a little bit ago, and I meant to put a bunch of Dark Souls 3 up, and I also played Stellaris in there as well, and both those were excellent experiences that I plan to revisit at some point when expansions and content come out for them. But for now, I'm into Warhammer, and I have some software installed, open broadcast software, that will hopefully be a little more reliable for my streaming and video recording. Apologize for the slight background hum. I've reduced the gain on my microphone so you can hopefully hear me okay and not hear that background hum. I'm not sure if it's because my microphone is too good or not good. Either way, hopefully it's not too bad. I did some testing and it seemed like it was fine, but um, okay, so what I wanted to talk about today was Total Warhammer, which is what I call it. Total War Warhammer. Feels like a missed opportunity to not call it Total Warhammer, though. The campaign we won't look at today, but is awesome. It's the meat and potatoes of the game. I just wanted to show, and you'll have to forgive me if I'm rushing through some of this because this is the third time I've recorded this video in its entirety, let alone the other little test times. Uh, I wanted to show off battles because I actually have a lot of fun with the little custom battles. You can actually go in here and pick like a faction, and then you can set like how much money you want to be able to spend, and you can pick large, small. You can like buy units, get a couple black orcs in there, get a lord to guide them all. I don't want to. You can right-click on a unit to get like more information about the unit, with a little built-in like kind of in-game wiki, which is neat because they can update this in real time as they add new content. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to do a battle live. I actually already did a battle, and I thought it'd be kind of nice to be able to talk about the battle while I watched it. That would free me up from distractions and things like that. So let's do the replay. What's also cool about Warhammer, there's a lot of little touches. They did a lot of little things, lots of polish here and there, from different map modes to just little quality of life things like how you can hover over just about everything and get a ton of information. But one thing I think is really cool is that after any battle, even during the campaign, you can save the replay. And if you do save the replay, not only can you come back in here and watch the replay, you can refight the whole battle again. I think that's a really neat idea. So let's watch the replay of my first, well, not my first, but one of my custom battles, when I played as the dwarves and I chose the greenskins. And what I'll do is I'll just jump into the game real quick, pause it right away, sort of talk about the dwarf units I picked, sort of talk about the orc units that the war boss over here picked randomly. Well, it probably wasn't random. I'm sure it was some sort of algorithm. So let's pause it right away. I just want to kind of real quickly show off. So there's a lot of units in the game, as you can see. I've got hundreds and hundreds of guys here. Now, that's intimidating if you're new to the series, but bear in mind that you're only actually picking one guy at a time, one unit, one flag. So I have, 4, 8, 9, 12, like 13 or 14 guys here is all I really have. Now I will be controlling them in terms of like how their formation looks, how you stretch it out, how you control the shape of it, who you target, do you charge, do you run, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of elements here where you kind of need to have a little bit of I don't know. It's not a Twitch-based game. It's not a real-time strategy game like a StarCraft or Command and Conquer. It's very measured. It's slower paced than that by far. But and you can pause it too whenever you want and issue commands and things too. So let's just take a look at my units. Every unit has their own stat card. You got armor, which mitigates damage. Leadership is like morale. You definitely want to have a high leadership because if your leadership crumbles, your units, even the healthy ones, will just rout, and that's real bad for every reason you can possibly think of. How fast a unit moves. Doors are pretty slow. 30 is pretty slow. It's one of the slowest movements in the game. You can see the bar here is black where it could be filled in. I don't think very few things would max the bar out. I'm sure some things do, I guess, but that's uncommon. Nonetheless, you get a speed of 27, like on these Longbeards. They're very heavily armored, but they move real slow. Now, the nice thing about Longbeards, these veterans are old grumblers, and they actually generate their own leadership aura around those around them, including like these dwarven warriors. And speaking of leadership, here's my leader. We got this guy here. He's just a generic lord. He's not going to do super well for us. I shouldn't have charged him in combat. I'm used to having a legendary lord in my command that can really wreak some havoc. He should have stayed back and just been a leader, but that's fine. We'll see what happens. I got miners here. Miners you wouldn't think are amazing melee combatants, but those picks are wicked, and they're very high. You can actually get a breakdown. Like I said, you can mouse over everything for more information, but you'll see these miners have 17 points of armor-piercing damage, which is not mitigatable by armor. Quarrelers are the meat and potatoes of this army here, because Quarrelers will deal a lot of damage very rapidly, destroying leadership and morale of the targets they hit. And Quarrelers, heavy armor, decent attack strength. In fact, it's just about as high as Dwarven Warrior's attack strength, just a couple points short. No, it's the same actually. They're both using the same weapons, axes. But these guys have a smaller attack, which is their chance to hit, so they don't hit as often. And you don't want to get them a melee if you can help it, because they're way more effective shooting bolts. Lastly, I got these beauties, Gyrocopters, the brimstone gun variety. They are very, very potent against large targets. I am going to mess that up early on. I attack a whole host of goblins with them, which is the worst use of these guys because there's only 4 of them. And like I said, each individual unit is its own guy. It has its own health and stats and things like that. As a whole, you're looking at the actual unit stack. But these 4 guys can only shoot 4 targets. And when you target 120 goblins, the goblins don't really care that they are losing a couple goblins every few seconds. Not for a long time, anyway. What I should be targeting is these guys. Trolls. Not very many units per figure, or figures per unit, but they're very powerful, and they're very dangerous, and that was a mistake on my part that I do rectify at some point in the fight, but not right away. We got goblins, we got goblin wolf riders. These guys are fast. Goblins are fast, as you can imagine. They're not very well armored, and they have very poor leadership, but there's a lot of them, so it's kind of a give and take. There's not many. I don't have very many dwarves per figure, but the dwarves I do have are very powerful. Heavy armor, good damage, good attack, lots of leadership. But I do have to face night goblins who can poison. They're very dangerous. Again, not great leadership, although not bad leadership at 40s. That's not, well, that's not great. Really, it's not great. But still, I mean, compared to, let's see if I can find some of the high leadership here. Wolf chariots are pretty good at 50, 49. Greenskin armies don't feature a ton of leadership. That's their thing. They're a horde. They have a lot of guys. Alright, so let's just get this going. One thing I'm going to have to be really careful about early on is this rock throw is going to be a problem, because it's going to lob rocks all the way up over here, and it's going to start really hitting my poor it's going to hit my longbeards. And so I need to move. I can't just stand here. I'm within the range of their artillery. I didn't bring artillery, and dwarves don't have cavalry to go and harass artillery. So I need to, I'm going to fast forward a little bit here and get into position. I move my guys forward, form up a line, move my gyrocopters over here. I've revealed hidden troops because terrain does play an actual important factor into the combat. Here you can see I got my quarrelers. They're doing their thing. These guys are shooting their quarrels. You can turn on like trails for missile weapons and the options. I haven't turned on so I can see them. Here come the trolls. Here's my miners have blasting caps, and they are using them to good effect. Look at that. Oh, boom. Beautiful. My gyrocopters actually have bombs equipped on them. Just a couple. You can make gyro bombers. They have like 10 bombs each. I just picked brimstone guns. They're a little bit harder, a little bit easier to use. Here's those miners taking out. Unfortunately, they're hitting my quarrelers a little bit there, but they were taking out some wolf riders that were hitting us. These guys are routing already because of the miners. Run, little wolves. So the goal here is to keep my quarrelers keep this from happening. Oh, look at that! They got us right in the rear like that. That's attacks in the rear. It's always bad. It's never good. Here's my leader. He's already in the middle of a fight. He's fighting the other lord, and he's no match for this guy. This orc war boss, who also has some abilities he just popped, and my guy didn't have any cool abilities like that. You can actually always pause the action, like I said. Take a look at what's going on. These night goblins are shaken. Like I said, they don't have a ton of leadership to begin with, and they're goblins with low armor. But they're poisoning guys, so I'm gonna guess. I don't know if I can look at it in the replay mode, but I'm gonna guess these guys here are feeling the effects of poison, sluggishness, and they're losing health. You can go into slow motion, which is really cool. You know? Oh yeah, look at that. It's also really handy for like controlling large fights. There's a lot of tools built into the game to make it easier to see what's going on. Again, it's not a Twitch-based game, it's a tactical game, strategic. So if you hold on spacebar, you can kind of get a sense of what's going on a little better. You can see arrows being drawn for guys who are attacking. You can go into like a tab view to like get a better sense of what's happening as well. Hold on spacebar and see who's going where. These guys are moving here, and these guys are moving here. Let's go back in real time here. Of course, you can speed things up too, especially when you've already won. Here's where I make a big mistake. I got these guys attacking these stupid goblins, and they're going to sit here forever. Although I did drop some bombs on them, that helps a little bit. They are going to break pretty soon, but see, their leadership is raising again now because you know they're not necessarily they're taking damage. They're tired, but my guys aren't really winning either. So one of my miners ran out of blasting caps. It's bound to happen. Oh man, this guy is just wrecking us. I love the sound design. When you get zoomed into the action, especially, you can hear the doors calling out. Here's you can see things are pretty even still. Red is there, of course, is strength. We're all losing M's pretty quickly. You can see the counts dropping. You can see the flashing icon means that we're about ready to rout, and the white icon means that we've routed. That goes for them too. There's probably some. Here's my Gyrocopters, while not effective against these guys, are still finally making headway and getting them to run. Pretty soon I'll move them up here and start harassing these trolls, which I should have done from the start, because these trolls would have been this would have made the fight a lot easier. There's a lot of hard counters in the game. It's a rock, paper, scissors kind of thing. Spearmen beat charging cavalry. Quarrelers are great against spearmen. You know, cavalry can destroy ranged guys. Artillery is awesome. It's basically anything slow-moving or stationary, but against cavalry, it's helpless, as you'd expect. That sort of thing just works like it's kind of like you think it would. Here's my Longbeards. They're taking on these goblins. They've taken a lot of casualties, but notice their leadership is still in the 70s. No, now it's dropped, but then it went back up again because they just routed an enemy. The Longbeards are very, very good. They're just really good. Very reliable. And unfortunately, they are choosing to chase down these routing goblins, which is not a bad idea. Routing units can recover. They can shake it off. They can reform up again and come back in the fight and be a threat. So we have a lot of goblins down here routing. We're doing all right, but I did kind of mess up with my lines. It's just basically pure chaos at this point. Here's some more blasting caps going off. Really punching through these poor goblins. These trolls are running because the gyrocopters are on them. Which, like I said, I should have done earlier, but live and learn. Practice makes perfect. Now, here's the problem here. I got these rock lobbers still fresh as the day they were born. Not a single casualty to them. And these guys, these Goblin Wolf Chariots are here to mess me up. And they are really wreaking havoc on these poor dwarf warriors. who apparently don't have anything to do other than stand there and take shots. So I should have probably, at some point, I should have paused the game, hit the old spacebar. And one thing that's really handy that you can't see here, unfortunately, because it's a replay, is the unit cards you can use to select your units have little icons above them telling you what that unit's doing. Is it combat? If the icon for combat is red, it's losing. If it's green, it's winning. Things like that. Taking fire, moving fast. So you can sort of see if there's a unit card with nothing on top of it. It's just standing there, not doing anything. It's very handy. I did not do that, apparently, for these guys until... Well, at some point I did, because they're moving now. Then I have these guys harassing the chariots. This is doing pretty well, because again, not very many figures in that unit, so these guys are punching pretty hard. And then now we're going to move over here and take out the Goblin Rock Lobbers. That's going to really be the fight, I think. Once we can get these guys to stop harassing us from far. His Brimstone gun is just punching through these little goblins who have no armor. They're stationary.
Let's do this!
Shaking. These guys are routing. These guys are routing. Everything's breaking. It's all falling apart for these guys now. Again, it's not so much about damage as leadership. Once you start breaking, your other units around you start breaking because they get scared too. And that's going to be that. Here's the war boss here. He's wounded real bad. He's routing. Oh, he's gone. He's fleeing. Everyone's fleeing. Look at that. Look at that bar. We won. So that's that. That's a battle in Total War Warhammer. So if you've heard me talking about Warhammer before, that's what it is, and that's why the combat's really good. And I've always enjoyed the Total War games, but I've never gotten into them to this level. The combat's always been about the same, except for I just have a lot more fun with dwarves and orcs, I guess, than, you know, historical figures. So thanks for watching. Like I said, I'll try and do a campaign look here at some point. But for today, I thought I would just sort of get a video out there, and I wanted to show off Total War Warhammer. So thanks for watching.